days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Time for some news from the 49ers because they're back at it on Wednesday, which means Kyle Shanahan, Richie Hightower, and Jimmy Garoppolo, Fred Warner all came to talk. And so now there's a lot of information out there, but we always got to talk about who's practicing, who's not, and what that means for the upcoming game against the Bengals.
And that's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things coming out about this. There's a lot of things happening. But first and foremost, the first thing that happened before anything else happened was that Brian Hill is now officially on the 49ers practice squad. He has been signed. You're welcome, Cutback crew. I said it, like way before anyone else was saying it.
Yeah,
so.
Actually, Alex did bring up Brian Hill. We were going through the names of possibilities and brought up that he used to play for Atlanta. And then once we really got into his stats, it made a lot of sense. Somebody that's been on a roster this year. He played for Cleveland for a little bit when they were suffering from injuries. So, I mean, he's a guy that's at least in shape and ready to go. They signed him to the practice squad, which meant a corresponding move, which means Tony Jefferson is gone. He has been released. We might see him again. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen there. But Brian Hill was a nice choice as a veteran running back who's proven that he can do it in the NFL. I mean, whenever you have 100 carries in a season, 490 yards, which means you average 4.9 yards per carry, you're at least doing something right. So is he the shining star signing that everyone wanted? Is he a superstar? No, of course not. But he's a guy that could come in there and fill in if needed. A guy that played in similar systems, so he understands, a lot of the scheme, is going to be able to pick it up quickly, and that's really what you're looking for. This is the Band-Aid. That's what you're looking for right now. You need a Band-Aid. Elijah Mitchell's dealing with a knee apparently as well, and also the concussion. You don't know what his status is going to be, but you can't roll in there with a Jeff Wilson Jr. that's dealing with some sort of a knee thing, even though he's limited in practice, and Jermichael Hasty, who had just came back from an ankle injury. That's not a recipe for success, so you needed to add somebody else.
You did. You really had to add someone else, Ant. You had to bring someone else into the fold. You had to bring someone else in who could, in case you don't have Elijah Mitchell, in case Jeff Wilson cannot go, in case Deebo is not 100% and you're not comfortable with putting him in the backfield at times as a runner, you need another guy that can carry the rock, and Hill was that guy. Hill was the only real name that I was comfortable with other than Ito Smith, and Ito Smith was signed to the Cowboys practice squad on Wednesday morning as well. So the only other guy that you could have gone after was already doing workouts and stuff with the Cowboys. No. So it is what it is. I mean, he's on the practice squad now for the
he wasn't the only guy out.
He wasn't?
No, of course not. You're forgetting about Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, okay, of course. Good old Marshawn
Todd Gurley, Marshawn Lynch. Come on.
I mean, I didn't forget about Todd Gurley, but Marshawn Lynch. Okay.
I wanted him straight from Subway. Straight from Subway to the field. I would have ordered
he would have just eaten fresh, and he would have been refreshed.
I would have ordered him Uber Eats. It would have been no problem. Even though he doesn't want to tell me what his order is, so I can't actually order it for him.
Well, he could put the order himself, hit send. I don't know, because then you can see the order history, and then you know what it is. No, he's not going to do that. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It is what it is.
What could have been, a beast mode, a older beast mode. Definitely not bloated, but ready to play. Yeah.
I don't even know where to go with this.
We got the king of the hill, so we're good.
That's true. We do got the king of the hill. I get what you did there, Ant. But
I'm thinking about that all day. Just worried about it, stressing about it. Finally got it out. I feel relieved now.
I'm so glad that you got it out, Ant, and you're feeling better. I think the Cutback crew is definitely feeling better as well about this. But they're definitely feeling better about Fred Warner returning to practice. He says he feels 100%, Ant, 100%. Following him missing his first NFL game ever. Another reason why you paid the man so much money. He was always available. I still think he could have gone this past week. I think the Niners played it a little bit safe, and it is what it is. We have him back now. We have him back in the fold. Feel better about the linebacker room already. Look at that. The addition of Fred Warner makes me feel better about the linebacker room, Ant. And with how Demetrius Flanagan-Folds played in the All-22 film, Ant, I feel even better knowing we got some depth pieces there and some guys rotationally that can do some things, as well as Marcell Harris coming back into the fold and being limited today in practice as well. So, I mean, hey, good things for the 49ers. They're definitely getting healthy at the right time. That's a good sign.
Yeah, Marcell Harris was actually a full participant.
It was, right, full.
So he's back. He's cleared concussion protocol. And you know what? Fred talked about this a lot in his interview, is the fact that he could have probably pushed through and win against Seattle, but he had to respect what the doctor was saying and go through the plan that the trainers had put in place. Because when you push these types of injuries and you don't give them the proper time to recover, you could be out 4 to 6 weeks after that, because you can go through with a full pull or something of that nature. So what he did was slowed it down, didn't allow his competitiveness to overtake, a smart move, and made the proper move, and that was to sit out against Seattle. That way you're healthy for the stretch run. The 49ers ultimately know that it's not about winning right now, even though you have to win these games. The most important wins are going to come up in January, and you need to be healthy for them. So they needed to be healthy for the stretch run these next 5 games. Win 3 of the 5, and you have a really good shot at making playoffs. In fact, the 49ers have a 68% chance of making the playoffs.
True.
Currently. That is a good number, considering that I believe it was 3 weeks ago, they were at a 42%. So it just goes to show how the 49ers are sitting in the playoff hunt, and Fred Warner is a big part of that. So getting him and Marcell Harris back re-stabilizes that linebacker core. You can live without Dre Greenlaw. You've been proven that you can. You're going to get by until he gets back, hopefully sometime for the playoffs. If he wasn't going to be coming back at all, they would have put him on IR already. So accurate. I think we're optimistic now about this linebacker room, and that's good, because there are holes in other places that the 49ers are going to have to overcome.
100%. And look, so the Niners are getting to a point now with the amount of injuries they have to certain guys and the fact that they've used up those IR spots already and putting them on. Anyone who's not currently being put on IR is a good chance they're expecting them back here, hopefully sooner rather than later. And that goes for a lot of people. And that doesn't just include Dre Greenlaw. It also includes guys like Dee Ford, who is supposed to be coming back today. Potentially coming back today. That was Kyle's comment. Someone asked about D, and he said, D, we're hoping he's going to be back today. But the DNPs in practice from yesterday, from Wednesday's practice, were Bosa having a rest day, Trenton Cannon obviously dealing with the concussion, Greenlaw with the groin, Maurice Hurst still dealing with the calf, Alex Mack resting, Mitchell obviously dealing with the concussion stuff and the knee, Emmanuel Mosley, the ankle, Deebo Samuel, groin, Trent Williams resting. Limited was Jeff Wilson Jr. That's a good sign for the 49ers. Full participants were Marcell Harris and Fred Warner, like we talked about already. So that's some good signs for the 49ers. The names that are on that list, the guys who are resting that are just resting. Jeff Wilson being limited, doing some limited work in as the week progresses. If he's getting closer to being a full participant, even more better things for the 49ers. And we watched the All-22 film. He was doing special team stuff. He was on kickoff for the 49ers on special teams. So maybe, hopefully, this isn't a super serious thing and that Jeff Wilson can be a full go. I think the Niners only making a move for one running back makes you think that they think they're going to have guys available.
Yeah, I think they're going to split the load between Jeff Wilson Jr. and JaMycal Hasty for sure. This Brian Hill, he's going to be up. I mean, he's going to be
There's no way he's not.
Minus Elijah Mitchell being cleared. If Elijah Mitchell's cleared and ready to go, they'll roll with those 3 guys.
Correct.
I think that'll be what they use, unless they decide to use Brian Hill in special teams. That I don't know. I don't know about his special teams prowess. It wasn't something that I looked up.
Not something I'm familiar with.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna see. But I think they would love to go in there with Elijah Mitchell carrying the brunt of the load, with Jeff Wilson Jr. sprinkling in some of the power stuff, and then JaMycal Hasty coming in on third downs when needed. But really, Elijah Mitchell's your number 1 back, and he's going to be in all those situations, including third down. And if he's not ready to go, Jeff Wilson Jr. can't carry the load right now with this knee. So they're going to have to use him sparingly in practice. They're going to have to save that knee as much as they can. And in that type of scenario, he's not going to play special teams. He won't be out there anymore. They'll just be limiting him to the reps at which he's playing running back. But he can't carry a 15 to 20 carry load right now. So I think that they're going to have to watch the way they do it. And JaMycal Hasty is definitely not capable of carrying it that many times as well. So in that case, you will see Brian Hill get some carries if Elijah Mitchell can't go. That should be interesting and fun to watch. The addition of hopefully Deebo Samuel, who might be back to practice today. Deebo Samuel would be huge for the 49ers to be back. And if that is the case, he will also garner some carries or at least some looks. Because right now it's set up more than ever for the 49ers to run RPO and play action when Deebo Samuel gets in the backfield.
100%, Ant. That's the 100% the case for this football team. And yeah, you're right. You're right on that. You're right about Deebo, how huge of an impact that would absolutely be for the 49ers, because it would be, both in the pass game and running the football. Right now, more running the football than anything else because of just the breadth of injuries at the running back position. It's just unconscionable. It's to think about how many guys are dealing with the things that they're dealing with and not being 100%, and how important the run game is to the 49ers. Deebo Samuel would be a huge injection of life, excitement, energy. And also, I mean, just that what if factor. Is he really back there to be a runner, or are you going to have him come out of the backfield and be a pass catcher? What is this package actually that he's back there? And if him and Elijah Mitchell are healthy, then that's been one of the Niners' go-to sets, is having both of them back there in the backfield, using one of them in a motion set, get guys flowing, and create the run box that you'd like to create, and then attack at it. The Niners have been doing that. They've been running the ball really well, that formation, whether it's Elijah Mitchell or whether it's Deebo Samuel interior or on the sweeps that they run. And those sweeps are nasty when they run Deebo Samuel out of that little dual set formation.
Yeah, 100%. When you have Kyle Juszczyk out there, then you put the defense in a personnel grouping. They're in a base set. When you're in a base set, that means defending all those guys. And then you get in a situation where you have somebody else, whether it's George Kittle or whoever, out at tight end. And if they're split out wide, you've got a cornerback covering them, especially if you're running zone, which means you get a Deebo Samuel on a linebacker, Elijah Mitchell on a linebacker. Those are situations that were good. We even saw the 49ers run a weird set where Deebo Samuel and George Kittle were the two guys behind. Elijah Mitchell and Kyle Juszczyk were out wide, being covered by corners. What it created was those two guys in the backfield, Deebo and George Kittle, being covered by linebackers and safeties. Those are mismatched situations that can be created by the right personnel groupings. Deebo Samuel affords you those opportunities. That's why you need him in this offense. He is the most versatile player on this team. George Kittle is very versatile, but Deebo Samuel is the most versatile, and he unlocks Kyle Shanahan's offense. We've been talking about unlocking his offense for a long time. That is why he drafted Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd, to have two guys that could do that. Jalen Hurd didn't pan out. Deebo Samuel has. The 49ers are going to have to find somebody eventually that can do similar things. Right now, they don't have that piece. So I'm curious how they approach that in the offseason, how they approach that in the draft, and if they can find another guy. But right now, Deebo Samuel needs to be back. And once he is, this offense is going to be hard to stop. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo will even have more success, because the way that Deebo garners attention right now, he just opens things up for everyone else. But where guys were covered in this last game, they'll be even more open, because Deebo Samuel just gets people's eyes and attention looking his way.
100%, Ant. That's 100% the case. But look, the Niners aren't the only team that's dealing with injuries. And the 49ers, they got guys missing and things of that nature, but the Bengals had a plethora of DNPs today. Chidobe Awuzie, Joe Burrow, Chris Evans, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Shelvin, and Logan Wilson all missed, and there were not rest days. Awuzie's foot, Burrow dealing with the finger and his knee, Chris Evans, ankle, T. Higgins, ankle. Joe Mixon is dealing with an illness. As of now, it's non-COVID related, but it is an illness. Shelvin dealing with a very similar illness, and Logan Wilson's been dealing with the shoulder. They may not have him back. And then on top of that, their other two linebackers, Bocce and Bailey, both dealing with knee and neck injuries. And then Hopkins and Reef, two offensive linemen for them who have missed time this year and missed the last few games, still dealing with ankle injuries on both of them. So the Bengals are not a 100% healthy football team. So both teams dealing with injuries. I think the positive thing for the 49ers is that it hasn't been a lot of key injuries. It's been a lot of injuries at one position or another, and that's really lessened the amount of depth that you have and weapons that you have in those positions. But Deebo being back potentially is a positive thing. We'll see today if that's fully 100% accurate. You have the return of Fred Warner, which is huge, and the possibility that Dee Ford may be going. Kyle said today is the day. They're going to find out. If Dee Ford's not going today, do you expect them to put him on IR and end the season?
No.
Yep.
No, I think they'll wait this thing out as long as they can. As long as they don't need that roster spot, you hold on for the hope that maybe Dee Ford can help your football team, especially because you think you're playoff bound. And if you get into the playoffs and you are able to put somebody opposite of Nick Bosa that is as dynamic as Dee Ford with his first step and able to close on quarterbacks, you 100% need to have that option available. So I don't think that is the case, but I think they would like him to be healthy before they activate him. But they're gonna have to make a decision here quick. I think he gets activated this week. I'm hoping he's able to go out there and at least do something limited, and he's able to go out there and perform against the Cincinnati Bengals, because he does change this defense and how they approach, and that would be really big for this secondary, who's going to be weakened by the loss of Emmanuel Mosley. They need that help on the front, and that's what happens is if you can get that strength on the front seven between those linemen and those linebackers, that will take some of the pressure off the back end. Those back end guys we're trying to cover up for the front seven's weaknesses with so many linebackers out, will now return the focus to what they were doing. So it kind of changes the game a little bit. And there was some talk about, Dante Johnson and what he means to this football team. And they were talking not only about that he can play multiple positions, not including corner, but also safety, nickelback. Fred Warner even mentioned he could play Mike, which is crazy. But they're talking about how his mind is to a level that keeps him in the NFL. And that's really what gets it done. He says, of course, he's a really talented player, but his mind and how he's able to process things is what keeps him there. And Kyle Shanahan talked about how he really stabilized that cornerback spot. So Dante Johnson, I think, is the front runner to start over there at the corner position.
Sure did seem like it after that presser.
Yeah, and I think that, we're going to see what happens. I've been worried about him playing on the outside before. It seems like he plays on the inside in the slot a lot better than on the outside.
Agreed.
But we've seen him play on the outside before, even when, Harbaugh was here.
Accurate.
So let's see if he can handle it. Let's see if he can go out there and get it done. But I thought it was interesting them talking about him preparing to play safety and all these other positions. So when they go to that dime look, they can have an extra cover guy out there.
True. It's very true. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens this weekend, and DJ is going to have his hands full. I mean, it's not going to be an easy test, no matter what happens, and it's going to be up to him. Richie Hightower, though, his presser obviously has everyone's eyes and ears and what's going on because of how badly the special teams played against the Seattle Seahawks. I thought it was very interesting. Obviously, opening question is the one you expect, the Trenton Cannon play and the second play of the game. But he talked a lot about how the 49ers essentially had to come on to try and be aggressive and get Seattle to punt the ball and get the Niners to the offense good field position, hopefully. It was definitely a punt return call. He says that Seattle basically just had him. They had the right play called up. They dialed in at the right time, and that it's 100% on him. Did you like hearing that from Hightower talking about how essentially nothing the players could have done there? I did not put them in a position to be successful. And then he also had a very interesting comment afterwards because someone said, did you show something on film that maybe was kind of an automatic thing for Seattle? His response to that was no. It was not an automatic deal at all. And it's a risky deal too, and they got us on that play. That's the bottom line.
I expect nothing less from Richie Hightower. To me, he's a very upstanding person. He always goes out there and takes full responsibility, and that's why I believe the players love him. I really do. I think he's a really good guy, and I think did they get caught off guard by this? Yes, because you do not expect Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks to go for it that early in the game from that situation where they're at. So Pete Carroll pulled one out of his yahoo on that one, and I think it's a situation where he knew he had to pull out all the stops to beat this 49ers team. I don't think he thought he could play it straight up, especially after that first series of 1, 2, 3 and out, the way the 49ers defense is flying around, that you believe you can win this football game without your special teams showing up in a big way, and their special teams did. So Hightower in that situation does not believe that Seattle's going to run a fake. You know who else probably didn't believe it? Everyone else. I know I didn't. The only ones who thought it was going to be a fake were Travis Homer and Pete Carroll and the special teams coach, because they sat there and saw the situation that was going to present it. It could just be a situation where Pete Carroll puts it on. We've seen this a million times. They put it on, and if it's not there, they call it off. So they put it on just in case, and the 49ers gave them the situation and formation to be able to execute and get it done, and they got it done. Props to them for that. Props to Hightower for taking responsibility and not throwing any players under the bus, and just this is a good situation. And he did go full punt return on that, and it didn't work out for them, and it's unfortunate. But you have to wear it now, and you know what they need to do? They need to do it in a big way. Their special teams needs to respond over the next 5 weeks, because if they don't respond over the next 5 weeks and play at a high level, Richie Hightower is going to be looking for a new job.
100%. But I did want to, I guess, build off of the thing you just almost ended that with, Ant, which was he didn't throw any players under the bus. Mm-hmm. And they tried to. They tried to get him to. The talking about Trent being out, not being on there, having to roll with different guys, talking about the returner. Returner have to hold the ball on the arm closest to the boundary, correct? And Hightower,
Benjamin one.
And Hightower going, depends. You'd like them to do that, but you would like returners to hold the ball on their closest sideline, but not all returners do that. Not really putting anything on anyone. Definitely working, and they're looking at things and working on things with players and things of that nature. Also, Travis Benjamin is a guy who's been in this league forever. And after the play, we saw him on the sideline. They kept showing, hey, that's on me. That won't happen again, sort of thing from Travis Benjamin. But it's just a ball security thing, and he knows that. But you're right. The Niners are going to have to respond in a big way, and he's going to have to respond in a big way. That doesn't mean, being desperate and pulling, your special teams tricks out of your hats. It means being disciplined and not making mistakes and not setting your team backwards.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And with the Travis Benjamin thing, A lot of the coaching points now at some of the levels is to go ahead and hold it in whatever your dominant arm is, whether it's close to a defender or not. I am one of those ones that likes it in the outside arm, away, protected by the sideline.
Same.
But there are coaching, points that are, hey, just get it in that dominant arm and protect it that way. When the defender gets close, cover up with 2, whatever it is. But the thing with Hightower is he's not going to just rest on this. He's not going to waller in it. He's going to turn back around and get this special teams going. I have faith that he's going to put his best foot forward and with a lot of effort. But there are things they need to correct. And some of that I'm going to throw at Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is the head coach. He's the CEO of this football team as far as play on the field. He needs to make sure that if the special teams isn't doing things like they're supposed to, that he regulates. So a lot of this falls on him as well. Yes, Richie Hightower is the special teams coach, but Kyle Shanahan is the one that when Hightower tells them what the game plan is and how they plan to attack things, he okays it before they ever go out and execute. These guys don't just get to go out there willy-nilly. Kyle Shanahan knows what the plan is on defense. He knows what the plan is on special teams. So he needs to make sure the special teams is in line, and Kyle Shanahan will make sure that special teams is in line this week. 100% the special teams will play better against the Bengals.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And I thought that was a really good question in regards to this. They talked about, was there a little bit of a trickle-down effect for the special teams? No Trent Sherfield playing. No Marcell Harris, not on the field. And no Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles on top of Trenton Cannon. I didn't think about that at the time. That definitely could have had an impact.
100% it did. Anytime that you have players that are normal special team studs like those guys are.
And those are special team studs.
100%. Yes. And they're getting limited reps now or no reps on special teams, and you're having to count on other guys that get it done. There's a reason these guys were special team starters. It's a real thing. It's a third of the football game. And when you have a lot of guys that aren't out there, it's going to suffer. So those situations as well play into it. So maybe it's, some of it's that, but Richie Hightower will never let you know that he's never going to throw a player under the bus.
No, he's not going to, and I like that. Like you said, high quality, high character guy. Really easy to win a locker room and keep a locker room when you're that kind of guy. And not when things go badly, everyone doesn't just punt on it and punt on and punt on special teams as a whole. I did enjoy the last thing I want to talk to you about, because we said this immediately about Jimmy on that second interception. He had kind of predetermined what he wanted to do with the football going to George Kittle. He was asked about it, and he said he was asked specifically about one play in particular from that Seattle game he wishes he could have back, do over. And he said that play, the second interception. He had something in his head. I got greedy with it. I saw something pre-snap that I just wanted to go with. And even though my eyes told me basically I still went with it, even though I should have went somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot of times with the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks sometimes can get, preconceived notions about what's there. Also, they get used to going to a certain guy, especially if there's a hot hand, like George Kittle was a hot hand in this football game. You get in a rhythm with that guy and you want to keep going to him. And so I think at times quarterbacks can force footballs to players maybe they shouldn't. They let their eyes betray them, or they think they can get something in that they shouldn't. And they don't take what's there. What I like about Jimmy Garoppolo is that sometimes he used to just take what's there, no matter what. And there are situations in this game where he did that. In this situation, he didn't. And he completely just punted the ball up to Diggs. I mean, it wasn't a good play. And he should have went to Trent Sherfield. So I'm glad that he recognized that. He came out and he said it. And now he's just got to go correct that. Don't force things. Take what's there. Take what Kyle Shanahan's offense is giving you and providing you, and go out there and execute it at a high level. And if you do, you're going to be successful, and this team is going to be successful, because Kyle Shanahan is very good at what he does. There are players open all over the field from play to play. Now, there are occasions where no one's open. People don't win, and those situations are tough. But on most of these, he had guys that were wide open. You just got to get them the rock.
Yes. And at times, I mean, we've seen it more and more over the last 3 weeks. It's not just one guy anymore. He's got a plethora. He's got a platter, not a poo-poo platter, but a platter of potential wide receivers to throw to. And you got people who are getting on Jimmy because they wanted to throw to certain guys and not take other ones, and not realizing that at the end of the day, a wide open receiver is a wide open receiver, and the first one that you locate is the first one you're going to throw to.
Especially if one of them's your number one read.
Your primary,
If your primary is open, you don't think about, that guy's 10 yards down the field.
Let me go to two.
Let me go to two because he's farther down the field. That's not what you do. You read the primary. Oh, he's open. Get rid of the football. It's all about timing, and you get it done. You let your playmakers create with their feet, with the ball in their hands. You just go after it. I mean, if you have two guys open and Jimmy finds one of them, I have no complaints. If he has an open receiver that he misses and he tries to force it somewhere else, that is when I'm upset with Jimmy Garoppolo. He needs to go ahead and read the field and make sure he gets it to the right guy. Trent Sherfield play 100% where he threw the interception over George Kittle's head is one he wishes he could have back. He admitted that. And now next time, don't go out and make that same mistake. Learn from it, Jimmy. And if you learn from it, I think everyone can support you. If you don't, then we're going to get real frustrated because that's not good quarterback play and that's not winning quarterback play. We need winning quarterback play as we push towards the playoffs.
100%. We need winning quarterback play, and we need a championship mindset. And part of a championship mindset is understanding that the pieces have to be interchangeable, right? And there are no excuses. If guys go down, you have to be able to continue doing those things. And Jimmy also talked about that a little bit. He was asked, how the game plan is affected and, and how you guys want to run the football. Does it worry you? Does this make things harder? And he said it makes it harder on the coaches because the coaches have to come up with a game plan and they have to figure it out. But the running back pieces are interchangeable. Each of them add their own flavor. They have their own thing that they add to the offense. And so it'll change what we do and maybe how we attack. But at the end of the day, once the plan is in place and I know what it is that I'm supposed to do, just time to go do it. There's no excuses. There's no, if only we had more running backs and options to run the football. No, it's if Jimmy has to go out and sling the ball 20 or 30 times this game, 30 times or more this game, then that's what it's going to end up being. Knowing Kyle Shanahan, that's not going to be the case for this football team. But Jimmy has also shown over the last 5 weeks or so that if you need him to throw for 300 yards, you can get it done. You need a big drive going all the way down the field, Jimmy Garoppolo can do it. Jimmy has shown those things. What Jimmy now needs to do is be that guy, continue being that guy, and take the mistakes out.
Yeah, the mistakes are what you can't do because those mistakes make it so you have to go down the field on the last drive to win the football game.
94 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, if you do not do that, you will be in a better position. You'll take some of the pressure off the defense. This whole team will settle in. The momentum is a real thing in a football game. And whenever you lose that momentum, and that's part of the reason I've had a little bit of frustration with the special teams, because when you get a big score and then you kick it off and they get a return, it restores some of the momentum to the team that you just put down. You don't want that to happen. It's better for there to be a stalemate, no momentum, so that way they can't come out and make something happen. That is one of the big issues with the way that we're running special teams in the kickoffs right now. I think that in the same regard with a turnover like this, it's a huge momentum shift, and it changes everything. And then you have to go ahead and restore your momentum when you get a stop or when you make a play, and it changes the game. And momentum's a real thing in football, probably more than any sport that I've seen, where you get on a roll and it's just like you can just build off of that and you can lead to that. Some of that has to do with the crowd, I'm sure. But it's a big thing, and flags and all that stuff play into it. But I think that they need to get on the momentum, and when they do get that momentum, it's like a snow going downhill. Just keep going. Let it happen. Let that avalanche roll, and if they do, then they'll be fine.
I agree with you there, and I think part of that too with the special teams, because Hightower talked a little bit about this as well in his presser. Essentially, part of it is the calls he's making, and we're struggling to get off blocks at times and things of that nature. You know what might help? Taking the ball to the end zone.
Yeah.
For an entire half. Literally, an entire half. Get these guys at a point where they're starting to get relaxed in terms of their execution. You know what they've seen a lot of from the 49ers the last 3 weeks? Taking the ball short and letting teams get returns. So they've been practicing it. They're ready for it. They're prepared. Take it out of the end zone. Take it deep into the end zone. Don't let them return the ball. Let them start to get in this false sense of, okay, this is their correction. And then let your coverage guys do their job. When they start laxing and guys aren't jacked and juiced on special teams knowing you're going to kick it short and we're going to have a chance to get a return, it's time to make a play. Instead of that being the situation, boot it out a few times, get them to fall back on their heels a little bit and rock back and relax, and then try and take advantage and then make your call. Not every kickoff needs to be our kick coverage doing its job. Sometimes, especially off big scoring drives, you just kick the ball out, let them take it at the 25, and let them try and literally start their momentum from a dead stop.
Yeah, make them go 75 yards. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. Make them go 75 yards. The difference between you getting a pop-up, at some points, I know that he made a big point in a couple weeks ago that Charlie Warner tackled someone at the 17-yard line. So
agreed.
That's +8. Well, that's great. But you know what? After that happened, a huge return, or even a return for a touchdown. That negates all the greatness that was that play.
That +8 means absolutely nothing now in the grand scheme.
Yeah, so play it safe, kick it out of the end zone right now, especially since you just admitted that your players can't get off blocks. You know what they don't have to do if you kick it out of the end zone? Get off blocks. It solves your problem. And one of those things you have to be as a coordinator is a problem solver. Sounds like a pretty good one to me.
And it sounds like an absolute glorious problem solve, and one that Hightower hopefully is going to implement this week, Ant, because our GOAT tier members are sometimes our problem solvers over here, supporting the channel in huge ways, making sure that Patreon is able to function the way it's supposed to. We're able to pump out great content over there, whether it's Cutback in Times, all 22 film previews, and breakdowns, not just previews, but breakdowns. And of course, the ever popular Big Yikes, as well as all the Cutback Madden stuff. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, there's more content on our Patreon than probably anyone else's content creator's Patreon. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Accurate.
As far as, 49ers content, you can go over there and there's a plethora of things to look at. So if you're interested in Patreon, head over there and check it out. If you're not, you're right in the midst of a Friday frenzy. The Friday Frenzy is tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, 1 day early.
I got into the Friday Frenzy, so you can enjoy the Friday Frenzy.
You and
tomorrow.
I are we're in that mindset right now.
We are.
We're in Friday. We just want the
full
frenzy
Friday Frenzy, but no, Friday Frenzy tomorrow, where you're going to get Madden simulation in the morning, the game preview show, 49ers versus Bengals, where we go over our key matchups, make bold predictions, and then picks for the game.
Always lock it up.
Yeah, and then also you're going to have, What's Good with Jay in the Bay, our boy Jay in the Bay. He's going to be bringing his 5 big things that he likes to present, and he does a good job with that. And then, of course, we close out the Friday Frenzy with Know Your Opponent, where we break down some All-22 film of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Always a good time on the Friday Frenzy. We still got a live stream tonight, so make sure you're here for that. We'll break down the news from today. We'll take some questions from you and just chat it up with the Cutback crew. That's always a good time.
Apparently, I'm already in tomorrow, so.
I mean, that's true. You're already into Friday.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I don't blame you. The Friday Frenzy is
pretty wonderful.
It's one of the best days of the week.
Yeah.
And not only is it Friday and the weekend is practically here, but you get 4 whole videos from the 49ers Cutback about the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a 49ers fan, I don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't be spending time anywhere else on Fridays, just here on the Cutback.
Right.
Just saying. The best way to do that is to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. That way you're notified as soon as the Friday Frenzy starts, which is 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see you for the Madden Sim on that episode. We'll see you later today for the live stream, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.